Well, Hannah, welcome to the Becoming Her podcast. I am so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So when I think of you, and I've been following you for almost a year now, I think. When I think of you, I think of a woman who has dedicated her career to helping women reimagine and even in some cases revive their experience in the bedroom with their partner. And I can truly only imagine how many marriages and partnerships that you have contributed to saving. So I am just so excited to introduce you and your work to my community because in my realm of work, I am helping women to rebalance their hormones and to fall back in love with their body and to learn how to meet their body's needs from a functional nutrition perspective. But I've definitely noticed that sometimes even when we do balance their hormones and they have the mechanics of well-functioning hormones, that there is still sometimes an underlying lack of relationship or sometimes challenging relationship to their arousal or sensuality. And when I discovered that there was a you that was dedicated to helping women with this sector of like, we need to understand our body. And I'm in a 10-year relationship myself. And so I know what it's like to, have to make an effort to fuel that really impactful component of your connection. And I just have these conversations all the time. And oftentimes I'll find myself sending them to your content. I'm like, go find out about this girl's work because we can get you clear on my end, but there's more to the story here. And she's one that I would trust.
I really appreciate that.
Oh my goodness, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've certainly won like my trust, even just through your content. Like you are so willing to share everything. Yeah. And I just deeply admire it. I know that probably took time to get to that space where you're so willing to share it all. But you're inspiring people. I know you know that, but just I wanted to tell you you're absolutely inspiring women to have hope.
Yeah.
That there is a different experience available.
100%.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So I want to know from the libido fairy herself.
The self-proclaimed
libido fairy. When a woman says she has a low libido, what's usually the truth below the surface?
Most of the time, when a woman says that she has a low libido, what is below the surface is typically that she just really hasn't had a lot of sexual experiences that elicit enough reward that she wants to go back for more.
Right.
And that is a result of mostly lack of education, I would say, and lack of understanding about how her body works and lack of spaces where it's safe for her to play and experiment and be curious about what more there could be for her. And so that is one component of it. I would say also the other half of it is that a lot of women actually do experience desire, but it's responsive desire. It's not spontaneous desire.
Okay.
Do you want to just get into that?
Tap right in.
Let's go right there. Straight into it. Okay. So responsive and spontaneous desire are the two ways that desire can be experienced that are completely healthy, completely normal in the body. And the way that I like to explain the difference between the two of them is that spontaneous desire is kind of what you see in the movies, what you see in media, where suddenly there's this urge out of nowhere. I want to have sex, and then I go and seek out my partner, and we have sex. And it happens in anticipation of arousal. So there's this mental desire, ooh, I want to have sex. I'm going to get a reward out of it. And then the body turns on and is aroused, and then sex happens. So that's kind of the arousal pattern for how spontaneous desire works.
Right.
Responsive desire works in the opposite way. So it's instead of brain thinking, I want to have sex, and then body responding, it's body becomes aroused first through pleasurable input, pleasurable stimuli. Maybe you're like reading an erotic book, or your partner's kissing your neck, or you're just feeling like really safe, really cozy, you're cuddling. And then because your body is feeling sensations of arousal
Kind
and
of like
pleasure,
activated.
it's activated. Then your brain goes, oh, I think I might want to have sex now. And the difference, the split as far as men and women is crazy. It's almost exactly 80-20. 80% of men primarily experience spontaneous desire, 20% of men experience responsive desire, and 80% of women experience responsive desire, 20% spontaneous. And so
That's where the challenge is.
Exactly. That's because in heterosexual relationships, the pattern that will occur, and I'll also say, you can experience both.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what will happen in a woman's body is that the times when she's experiencing the most spontaneous desire are either right at the beginning of a relationship,
Yeah.
or around ovulation.
Yes, certainly a difference across the cycle.
Yes.
A month.
Yes.
Like, my husband knows when
Yes.
I'm about to ovulate.
For sure, because
and we
you're
communicate about it.
experiencing spontaneous desire,
Right.
and so there are more random urges. There
Right.
are more you seeking him out of nowhere.
Right.
And that way of experiencing desire is just as valid as you starting sex from a neutral place and then a few minutes into it, 10 minutes into it, 20 minutes into it, being like, oh, I am so glad that I'm here. This is so fun. Now I want sex.
Right.
So spontaneous
Those are
and
the two
responsive
different
desire.
desires.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can see that, like, most women, if it's 80% of women are primarily experiencing responsive desire, if they're walking around thinking the only way that libido is legitimate is if I'm experiencing spontaneous urges for sex, but I'm never thinking of sex randomly, I only like it once it starts, they think they have low libido, but they actually have responsive desire.
And I would argue that they probably think so many other self-deprecating things too.
Yes.
Like, maybe it's my partner. Maybe we don't have the connection. Yep. Maybe I'm not attracted to him anymore.
Maybe there's something wrong with me.
Facts.
I'm broken.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a line that really stuck out to me. It was, maybe it's not low libido. Maybe it's you've just never had sex worth craving. And I was like, oh, that is so juicy. I love that.
Yep.
So sex worth craving. So we've touched a little bit on like the arousal and like activating. But what are you seeing amongst women when they don't experience sex that they actually enjoy? So there's not like that motivation to get it going.
Yeah.
And there's an avoidance.
100%. So the way that a lot of people think that sex drive is this fixed thing, that you're either born with a high sex drive or a low sex drive. And that's like just who you are.
Yes.
The way that it actually works is that the only things that are drives are hunger, thirst, and sleep. So without those three things, you would die. That's why it's a drive. We're compelled as humans to seek out those things because they're required to live. No one dies.
Survival.
Exactly. No one dies from a lack of orgasms.
Right.
They might
be a little dried up, but
they might be very sad.
Right.
But
no one's going to die.
They won't die. Like, in contrast to what many men believe, also,
right, true.
You're also not going to die. You might not like it, but you won't die. And so the way that desire actually works is as a reward system.
Okay.
So if you experience a meaningful enough reward, you are incentivized to go back for more. And our brains are predictive. That's the way that we experience behavior. And so if we predict that the sex that we're going to have is going to be good and fulfilling and nourishing and fun, and then we're reinforced for that by sex that is good, nourishing, fulfilling, and fun, we're going to go back for more again and again. And it's okay if sometimes there's an occasional bad experience, because primarily we've experienced reward from
the majority. Got it. Yeah.
For many women, because the way that we as a culture portray sex as penetration is the goal, climax is the goal, it ends when the man has an orgasm, And yeah, penetration is the main event, which 70% of women can't climax from penetration alone. Just dropping that stat.
That's wild. 70% cannot get an arousal from penetration.
No, they cannot only have an orgasm from penetrative sex.
Okay.
So they need some type of additional stimulation, either clitoral stimulation, nipple stimulation, some type of fantasy, some type of other arousal than just penetration.
Interesting.
We can get into the logistics of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to circle back to that. But imagine growing up being told either sex is really, really bad and you should never do it, or sex is going to be really amazing and exciting and you should totally do it. And then when you do it, you are only having penetrative sex and your first time it's underwhelming or disappointing, or you don't have an orgasm, or it's kind of uncomfortable because you don't know how to get yourself aroused and to have lubrication naturally for many reasons. Maybe your first several experiences with sex are underwhelming and not that satisfying or enjoyable. You're accumulating these negative associations, either culturally because of shame or purity culture, or because you're being told from your parents that you shouldn't do it, you're going to get pregnant, you're going to get an STI, blah, blah, blah. You're a slut if you like it too much. And then you're also having experiences that are not entirely pleasurable. Makes sense that you'd be like, I don't get it. I don't get what's the big deal about this thing?
Yeah.
So a lot of women accumulate experiences like that and they're just not having sex that's worth
nothing's motivating
craving.
them.
There's no motivation there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just doing it because they feel like it's an obligation.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there is some reward there, right? Like,
you make your partner happy.
Exactly. And at a lot of times at the beginning of the relationship, the reward is you like me, I'm validated, I feel more secure in this relationship, which is a motivating reward. I feel more connected to you afterwards. You treat me better afterwards. Like there's all of this intensity and newness and excitement and novelty at the beginning of the relationship, which women also need more novelty when it comes to the bedroom to continue to stay engaged and interested than men do. Yeah. And so it's hitting all these buttons at the beginning of the relationship that are really rewarding. And then a few months in, the dopamine goes down because you got the reward, you got the relationship, you're secure, you're safe now. And so what's sex for?
Wow. Yeah. That is really interesting. And I also want to share a component of like a long-term relationship that personally I've experienced with my husband. We talked about it on a podcast recently, how earlier on in our relationship, obviously it was new and all the things. And we were also drinking alcohol often in our relationship. And then I kind of stepped away from alcohol and he kind of stepped away from alcohol. And then we had to like re-meet our sex life without the alcohol lubricant.
Yep.
And ever since I shared that on a podcast episode, I've had many women reach out to me and they're like, you triggered me with that, as in like, I like experienced that too. Like there's a big movement of sobriety. And now people can't just depend on the alcohol to get them into the mood and to loosen up and to get the confidence, you know?
Exactly.
How have you seen that in your work? Like when alcohol is part of the equation and then it's not part of the equation anymore and you actually have to build that connection without the support of alcohol?
I think it's an amazing opportunity is how I like to frame it to people.
Yeah,
because
I love that.
If you have only ever had sex under the influence of any type of substance, you're missing out actually on so much pleasure. Because
that's what we talked about too. Like it was a hard conversion.
Yes.
Like we were like, it was kind of like a brunt, like, oh, this is actually going to take us communicating about this.
And
We're going to have to talk about this.
Yes.
And then it was like, it took some time and some adjustments and some communication.
Yes.
But now we have the best sex of our entire relationship together.
Of course, because you're actually present with each other.
That. Yes. Yeah. Like I feel like the connection from it is so much deeper.
Yes.
But it does require for you to be comfortable being present.
And to work through the discomfort.
Yeah.
Which is which is intimacy, which
Yeah.
is vulnerability. I think there's just a lot of misconception about how sex is supposed to go because we see it in movies and porn and whatever. And it's this like, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
It's this perfectly, and in smut books, which I have a love-hate relationship with, because I think that I love that they increase women's access to pleasure and arousal and eroticism, and they perpetuate the same narrative, the same fantasy that like, he looked at me sideways and I'm instantly wet. And then he made me come 6 times with his massive 12-inch cock. Like, no, dude, it's just not how it goes. That's just not what it's like.
Okay, so I have to ask you, what is your perspective on porn in long-term relationships?
I think anything can be a medicine or a poison.
Okay.
It really depends on how you're approaching it, how you're interacting with it, what's the intention behind it, and what are you getting out of it.
Got it.
Because you can easily get swept into a fantasy, train your mind and your brain to only become aroused by certain images or videos or scenarios, and miss out on the real life connection that's available.
Right.
And you could also sit down with your partner, watch some videos, be like, "Oh, do you like that? What do you like about that? Oh, what's exciting to you about that? Do you want to try this?" Totally different experience.
Yeah.
And it just requires intention and how are you going to approach it? I think a lot of porn, the way that people are interacting with it is secretive. It's shameful. It's in the dark.
Yeah.
You're perpetuating this like, oh, I'm hiding this like secret thing over here, which is fun and exciting. I get that. It's arousing and taboo, and that it makes sense that hits a dopamine button in your brain too. And just notice what your relationship is to it and how you're using it. Are you using it or is it using you?
Yeah. Well, I asked because in conversation with just like girlfriends over the years who've been in long-term relationships, they feel that they have mismatched libido and sexual desire with their partner. And obviously they don't have the skill sets that you're talking about right now to understand. And they have resorted to just agreeing to their partner supplementing their sex life with porn. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Like, is that the right thing or the wrong thing? Like, what do you do about mismatched, sex drives?
My best recommendation for this is have your partner only masturbate to images and videos of you and your relationship that are real. I think that's the best solution in a scenario like that, where your partner is going to go and I'm an advocate for each person in the relationship meeting their own pleasure needs. I think that that's super important. It's super valuable. And again, like, how is it going down? Is it going down in a dark room, secretive, shameful, watching something that's totally unrealistic, that's giving you unrealistic ideas about how your sex with your partner should be? Or are you actually connecting to your body? Are you feeling pleasure in your body? Are you experiencing it in a way that makes you feel proud of yourself? Or just connected, more present. And I think that a really simple solution for that is record some sexy videos together the next time you're sexual and let your partner jerk
Have
off
fun
to
with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So great.
Period.
Send your partner nudes. Like,
yeah, well, I think what's challenging is that I think a lot of women probably are forcing themselves to be okay with the porn supplementation when they're really not.
Yeah.
But they don't have another solution, and they don't feel like they can themselves at all times meet their partner's needs. So I love that recommendation. So I have to say, like, your depth of knowledge of this runs so deep. And I have to imagine that there is something, maybe your own experience of some sort, that has fueled this passion. Like, in my work, I had to fight for my life in order to get my health back. And that is what fueled my unrelenting passion for helping other women heal. But I know that had I not gone through a period of my life where I was just absolutely fighting for my life, that I wouldn't have the the density or potency of passion for my work that I do today. So I have to ask, like, what drove you to learn this much about sex?
Oh, it's exactly the same thing.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's transmuting my own personal dramas and pains and traumas and insecurities and relationship problems, for sure. My first sexual experience was non-consensual. I was in an abusive relationship for 3 years, was my first relationship. Almost all of my sex throughout college was either drunk or dissociated for validation to get someone to like me.
Yeah.
Then when I started having long-term relationships, I would keep this pattern, this cycle of a lot of excitement at the beginning, completely dying out, having no sexual relationship, and then that relationship ending like multiple times in a row. And it got to a point where I was with someone who, for 3 years, who a lot of people around us thought we were going to get married. He had asked my parents' permission to propose to me. And it just, like, behind closed doors, we weren't having sex. We were really, really struggling with our sexual relationship. I was trying everything to fix it. I was 26 years old and getting my hormones checked. Obviously, there was nothing wrong with my hormones at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like taking different supplements. I was buying lingerie. I was trying to take these online classes and getting super triggered, and like it just, and then it got to a point where, you know, we're living in Austin, Texas. Aubrey Marcus is at his like peak with his, you know, open relationship thing that's online.
Yeah.
And we're like, I guess that's the solution.
Right.
Like, I guess that we'll try opening the relationship so you can get your needs met, and maybe it'll like do something for my libido. And it completely destroyed our relationship. And
I'm sorry.
the intensity of that, it's okay. You know, I am so grateful for that experience.
Right. I know. Like, the most painful, earth-shattering experience of my life.
Yes.
I am the most grateful for it. I would not be doing what I'm doing now without that experience, but it's still fucking hard.
Oh, it was gnarly.
It hurts. Like, it's the most painful thing ever.
Like crying on the floor, drama. It was like so painful.
Yes.
And I got to a point where I was like, okay, either I'm going to like have to be in a marriage where I don't want to have sex with my partner and I just force myself to have sex with my partner, or I just don't ever get married. I don't get to have that. I don't get to have a good relationship. And I was just like,
you were like, neither.
Fuck that.
Fuck both of those.
No, not an option.
I so respect the determination and not settling.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't seem like the type of woman that would settle for anything.
No.
I just love that for you.
I did for a long time. But
well, yeah.
Yeah.
To
Now,
survive,
no.
to cope before
For
you
sure.
knew. Like, before
Exactly.
you knew that there was other options.
Yes. So yeah, I mean that was like rock bottom moment for sure. But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm a pretty extreme person, so I'm like, okay, here's how I'm going to approach this. I'm going to try everything. I'm going to hire the best in the industry. I'm going to mentor with people who are the best in the industry at sex. I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to live there for a month, and I'm going to go to sex parties, and I'm going to try poly relationships, and I'm going to hire a dominatrix, and I'm going to do shibari, and I'm going to I just went to all of the most extremes to figure this out about myself.
Yeah.
And I just was sharing a lot of it on the internet at the same time.
Wow. Okay. So you were publicly documenting the process.
I was.
Wow.
That was before the Libido Fairy. So I had a personal account that I was documenting that process. And as I was going through it, there was so much interest and so many people just so curious about.
Because they were experiencing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you are the only person that I know talking about this in the way that you talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot out there.
Yeah.
That's good. And so I had to read so many books, listen to so many podcasts, go straight to the sources, mentor with people, spend so much time and money for and it was 2 years consistently that I was doing that and sharing about it online. And about a year into it, I was like, I think that I want to do this as a career. And yeah, got a ton of certifications, and I'm like, yep, we're doing this. This is my work now.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is there maybe one specific belief that you had to unlearn in order for you to enjoy sex again or to tap into desire? Because I feel like what I'm hearing is that, like, yes, it's a skill set, but it's also somewhat of like an identity / like limiting beliefs type of situation.
So I'll tell it to you in a story.
Okay.
Was like
Love
the
that.
moment where things shifted for me.
Yeah.
It's a very edgy story. I
Okay,
don't think
let's
I've
hear
ever
it.
told this one on a podcast.
Okay.
So you're welcome. Exclusive. So when I was in New York, I was seeing this man, and I thought that his roommate was really, really hot.
Okay.
And so I was over at his place one night, and they were both part of a very poly, sex positive community in New York.
Okay.
And he knew that I thought his roommate was hot. And so we were all going to go out later that night. I was just hanging out, and his roommate was just kind of chilling around. And he suggested a threesome
Okay.
with all three of us.
Okay.
And they weren't into men. They were just into me.
Interesting, because they're usually, from what I understand, not down for that. If it's two males and a female.
I think those two men specifically had been in many scenarios like that before.
Okay,
This was not their first
They're
rodeo.
roommates.
They're roommates. They have done this many times.
Yeah.
They've been at play parties many times with each other. This was not a new experience for them.
Yeah.
It was very new for me. And I remember once it was getting started, having this moment of being like, oh, I didn't realize how much I was blocking myself from being able to receive pleasure.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
Having both
receiving.
of them, yes, having both of them have all of their attention focused on me felt so uncomfortable at first. I was like, whoa, I don't think I deserve this.
Wow.
I don't think that I'm allowed actually to experience pleasure in this way, or have my fantasies fulfilled, or have the things that I want sexually. Because I don't think this is about me. I don't think that this space...
It's always been about the other person.
Exactly.
Wow. So there was the belief.
It was right
You were
there.
blocking it.
100%.
Wow.
So that was like a huge aha moment for me to recognize, oh, this is the thing that's been blocking so much of my ability to relax and let go and surrender and enjoy myself in sex and actually have sex that's worth wanting. Is I don't think I deserve it. I think that sex is for men. It's not for me.
That's profound.
In a male female threesome. Let me tell you, it's a great place to find yourself.
Center stage. You found your... I'm so dead. And I, again, so admire your honesty and willingness to share, like, your true raw experience.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That is wild. Okay.
So I think that's the belief that most women hold as
right.
well.
Yeah.
Is like, this space is not for me. I tolerate this.
Tolerate. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that kind of segues me into the concept of mismatched sexual desire. How do you navigate guiding your clients through the mindset of how to manage what they believe to be a mismatched sexual desire between them and their partner?
So, I mean, the first thing is always just, you have to talk about it. I think there's just so much that's unsaid and resentment that gets built up, because what will often happen is the person with more spontaneous desire will become the pursuer. They will get rejected many times and start to feel like they're too much and there's something wrong with them, but they're not going to really say it. So they start initiating in weird ways that are kind of pressury, or like, and then they get angry or resentful. And then the person who is the person being pursued starts to feel more pressure, starts to feel like there's something wrong with them, like they're not good enough, and then gets also frustrated, angry, and resentful. And every touch becomes this pressure-filled thing that they want to avoid, and they feel tense about it. They can't laugh at sexual jokes, and it's like, If they just had a conversation about what was going on, really honestly, that would be a huge step. But because both people feel some level of shame about what's happening, it just stays this
dormant,
tense, unspoken thing that stews for
yeah,
years.
resentment,
And then I get them commenting in my posts, oh, I wish my partner would see this. I'm like, oh,
they'll talk to you about it, but they won't talk to their partner about it.
yes, like we just need to have open communication. We just need to talk about it.
Well, why do we think that they're not willing to talk about it? Is because we think that the relationship's going to end, that like there won't be a solution.
Yeah, I think they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
So why talk about it when they don't know what the solution is? And maybe they have tried bringing it up subtly, and one or both partners gets defensive or frustrated by it because they don't have models for those types of conversations, because they grew up in homes where you don't talk about sex.
Yes.
And so I want to give people, like, here's what you would say. Here's how you would do the conversation. Here's the questions that you would ask. I would say, what does sex mean to you? First and foremost, like, what is this for in our relationship? Why are we doing this? What's the reward we get out of it? But like, are you getting any reward out of it? Like, that's question number one, is like, what actually does sex mean to our relationship? 2, they really need to expand their definition of what intimacy is and what sex can be. Again, because a lot of times couples get stuck in this rut that's not that pleasurable for women. And so expanding out the definition of intimacy and sex can really help with couples that have like a mismatch in libido, because there are many, many, many ways that both people can get needs met if there's more options.
More variety,
more options to do. So I recommend that couples, like, okay, let's write down a list of all of the different ways that we get those rewards that we just talked about. So if your rewards from sex are orgasm, connection, and seeing your partner in pleasure, oh my God, so many ways, so many different activities that can fill those cups.
Fulfill that. Yeah, it's about fulfillment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's make a big list of all of the ways that we can do that. And then now we know that like all of this is sex. All of this is our intimate life together. And let's prioritize all the things on that. And let's check in like, okay, I'm feeling like I want to connect with you sexually, but you don't feel open to penetration. Let's look at this list of all of these options that we have now to connect. I'm really seeking connection. So what are all the options that fall in the connection category? And let's now do one of those together that may be a better fit for where you're at emotionally or mentally or energetically. That would absolutely fucking change all of their dynamics if that was what was happening.
Yeah, I'm kind of noticing like a pattern, and I think what you're explaining is a consistent pain or mindset amongst your clients, is that it's like it's all or nothing.
Yes.
And in my work as a nutritionist, where I see women really struggle with being able to sustain a healthy relationship with how they nourish their body, is that they think that the reality is that 100% of the time we have to be locked in, as we say today, or nothing at all.
Yes.
So
it's exactly the same with sex.
Yeah.
And what they think is all, again, is this image that we see. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Like,
okay.
if I'm going to say yes to intimacy, if I'm going to lean into my partner's touch or even kiss them, then what that means is I'm saying yes to penetrative sex. And so that's why they get stuck in these cycles where they're not touching, they're not kissing, they're not flirting, they're pulling away because they don't want to signal I'm a yes for penetrative sex, because they don't have all the other options available.
What are some of the other options that you find people wouldn't even have on their radar?
Mutual masturbation. Great option. Just side by side, masturbating with yourself, with your partner right there. Other options, take a bath together. We're going to go through all the different ranges,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Put a blindfold on and have your partner run a feather down your body.
Interesting.
I could go for infinity.
I bet you could.
Like, what else are all the options? Laying together, belly to belly, without a shirt on, and just breathing together. Really good option. Really nourishing option. Taking a shower together and just washing each other's bodies off. Such a good option.
Yeah, I mean, those all feel like intimacy.
All of them are,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Just kissing.
Maybe
making
redefining
out.
what intimacy is.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want, I wish that for every person that they could expand what they count as intimacy and sex so that they can feel like their sex life is really vibrant. And it's not just this, okay, we're either following this 3-move script or we're not being intimate
Doing
at
anything
all.
at all. Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny. I was on a plane a few months ago, and I was sat in between these two super kind, sweet, and communicative women. And
That sounds like my nightmare. I'll be completely honest with you.
So, well, most of the time when women discover that I'm a nutritionist, nutrition is like this like voodoo subject, like everyone's trying to figure it out. So, and I could talk about it for, days. We start getting into it, and we start getting into the conversation of like my hormonal work. And on left side, I had a woman that had a very active sex life with her husband. And then on the right side, I had a woman that like their sex life died a decade ago. And the woman on the left did have some support with getting her hormones balanced. And I obviously really supported that conversation because in my work, I have seen women that actually do have very severe and depleted hormones. And maybe, they may even have a spontaneous arousal type of, relationship, but their testosterone is completely depleted.
Yes.
Their DHEA is completely depleted. And once they are able to get into a more vital and vitality state, their sex drive does just naturally turn back on, and it is like reconnected. But then there's some situations where like I have had clients where we did completely rebalance their hormones, and that the walls and the lack of understanding of how to create a active sex life with their partner that they actually enjoyed, that didn't feel like tolerating or an obligation, it didn't turn back on. Or maybe it was never ever met. Maybe they have never experienced it before. So I do believe that your hormonal pattern and balance and health there can absolutely play a role in this. But I've also been awakened to the fact that that can be secure while there's also this skill set and understanding that's missing.
100%.
And so we were talking about that on the plane, and a woman to my right was talking about how like their sex life was dead, and it like really broke my heart. And I also felt myself like being concerned for their marriage and thinking they're not going to make it. And so I'm just curious what your thoughts are around like, do you think that relationships can make it without active sex connection?
They can, if in a few possibilities. So option 1 is both couples actually don't care about sex at all, or both partners don't care about sex at all. It's not important to them, and they're very happy to just be in a relationship that is more focused on emotional connection or friendship or parenting or whatever that looks like for them. And both partners are happy with that. Totally fine. Totally cool. I don't care at all.
Yeah.
If you are happy, amazing.
Happy for you.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
Or if both people have a high tolerance for mediocrity, or like, how do I say it? I don't want to say it in a way that's,
I mean, that's
like,
truth though.
Yeah.
Like, I do feel like sex like invigorates a connection.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that invigorating experience,
Yeah.
it will be dulled.
Yes. If the partner that really wants more of it gives up that desire and says, you know what, even though this is really important to me, I am fine. Like I'll just
Deal with it.
I'll just deal with it. Those people can stay together. Like a lot of people are in marriages where they're not that happy and they're not going to get a divorce because the pain of divorce is more uncomfortable than
addressing
the discomfort that they experience day to day in their relationship.
Yeah,
So,
that's real.
For sure. Some people
Yeah.
will stay together with bad sex lives or sex lives that aren't happening. What I will say, though, is the stats are 71% of sexless marriages end in divorce, and 1 in 5 married couples are in a sexless relationship.
1 in 5.
20%.
Oh my goodness. Like completely sexless.
The definition of sexless is less than once a month.
Okay.
So you're having sex less than 12 times a year.
Okay.
So that could be once every other month. It could be once a year. It could be once a quarter, or maybe you have it a few times around vacation and then you don't have it for the rest of the year. All of that would be technically a sexless relationship.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think that having a really vibrant, vital sex life definitely increases your chances of staying together with your partner, for sure.
Yeah.
There's so many health benefits to having great sex with your partner. There's so much oxytocin that gets released. There's so much intimacy and vulnerability that's involved in participating in sex that you can't really get in other ways in your relationship. There's something different that happens when you're entering an erotic space with your partner that just actually you cannot get in other ways in the relationship. That really nourishes it, that really fuels the relationship. And so do I think that it is a requirement to stay together? No, I think you can stay together without it. Do I think that you would be probably
it's worth
happier?
working on it? Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, of course.
For sure.
Of course you do.
The stats are against you if you
Right.
do not have it. Yeah.
So, have you done much in like the somatic space?
Yes.
I thought so. I thought so.
Yes.
So I wanted to touch on a couple realms of that
For
and
sure. Go
correlated
for
to
it.
this, which is, for women that are finding themaselves forcing themselves just to show up for that area of the relationship, how do you feel like or know that somatically impacts like their body when they are consistently forcing themselves to show up for something that they really haven't figured out how to do in a way that actually they enjoy?
I think that what happens when you're forcing yourself to show up for really anything, including sex, is it's a threat situation. Your body will interpret that as danger, don't like, bad, and so it'll protect you in one way or another, whatever your primary nervous system's go-to is.
Right.
Either it'll eject you from the experience where you'll just be in your head the whole time, dissociated, disconnected. It'll freeze you in the experience. So you're kind of like, you're in there, but you're just like frozen a little bit, or you'll get really anxious in different ways. And so the impact of that over enough time is the same as any chronic stress accumulating in the body. So you're consistently bracing, you're consistently holding, you're tightening. A lot of pelvic floor issues come from having sex that you don't like, that is forced, that you don't want, because the body is tensing during the sexual experience. It's bracing. Your pelvic floor is bracing, tightening, and then the body will display symptoms of pain during sex because the body's like, this sucks. I don't want this to happen. How do I protect this from this scenario happening? Because you clearly don't like this.
Right.
The best way is to make it painful so you will not do it again. So,
Wow.
yeah, those are some of the ways. I think emotionally also,
Yeah.
the impact of it is like just disconnection from yourself. It's sad.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I am just so grateful that you are hosting these conversations so that women know that there is another option. And, I think that likely hearing this perspective for a lot of women in my community, this will be the first time that they have ever heard this perspective, which I am so grateful for. And, Sometimes I think like, especially in long-term relationships, there's like a pile of a lot that probably has accumulated from being unaddressed. And if there's a woman that feels like she doesn't even know where to start or to approach addressing it, where would you recommend that she considers maybe like the first step in exploring a different experience here?
There's two different pathways that I think are important. There's one, your exploration with yourself, and then there's exploration with your partner, because your relationship to sex is entangled, whether you like it or not, with your relationship to pleasure, receiving, your body, your just vulnerability in general, your ability to express yourself, your confidence. There's just so much tangled up in that. Your worthiness, there's so much tangled up in that. And so first is definitely starting to approach your own body with more curiosity, compassion, love, tenderness. Some of the exercises that I recommend are starting with just like set up a nice quiet room by yourself, put on some nice music, and then just like lovingly touch your body. You don't have to go near any erogenous zones. Touch your face gently, run your hands along your collarbone or around your wrist, hold your forearm, massage your neck. Just have an experience with your body where you're touching it with the intention to care for it for the first time. And that alone, I think, will really dramatically start to shift things. The next exercise I recommend is actually exploring your vulva from a scientific understanding. So pull up,
like take the emotions out of it for a
take the
second,
emotions
and
out
like
of
let's
it.
get the facts about how this thing actually works.
100%. Yes, exactly. So like pull up an image on Google, anatomy of a vulva, and especially do this if you could not pick out your vulva out of a lineup of vulvas. You need to do this exercise. If your partners have seen yourself down there that more than you have, you need to do this exercise. So like pull up an actual like diagram of a vulva, scientific, take a mirror, look at yourself, and just look at like, okay, this is what I'm working with down here. These are my inner labia. This is my urethra. This is my clitoral hood. These are the outer labia. This is what this looks like. If you're concerned that there's something maybe wrong with the way that your vulva looks, there's a library of labias. It's incredible resource.
Library of labias.
Yes, there's this library of vulvas. I don't know exactly the name of the website, but you can just search like library of vulvas, and all of these women volunteered to be a part of this project that normalized what vulvas look like for women. Wow. It's all of these photos of all these different shaped bodies. It's so affirming and so wonderful because you can look at all these vulvas and be like, oh, mine kind of looks like that. Like it's so
they
so
don't
nice.
all look the same.
It's so nice. They all look so different.
Wow, that's interesting.
And then if you're doing that exercise, if you choose to look at your vulva and do that exercise, notice what comes up. Notice if you feel disgust. Notice if you feel shame. Notice if you feel curiosity and excitement. Notice if you feel turn on. Just notice what the stories are in your head about what your vulva is for and what it looks like and what's wrong with it and what's right with it. And just be aware, just become aware of what's going on with yourself in that. Those are great first steps. And then with your partner, I would just say like, have a conversation. This is really vulnerable, but saying like, hey, I notice that the way that we're doing sex right now is not a 10 out of 10 for me. And I don't know exactly what would make it a 10 out of 10 for me, but I would love to explore that together. Can we maybe start to try some different things together and explore some new things so that I can love this as much as you do? Because I want to love my experience in the bedroom with you. And are you open to doing some things with me? And expect that your partner might be upset. Because if you've been pretending that you love it, they might be a little upset because
that you've been lying.
You've been lying. And it's
That's
also
real.
really vulnerable, right? Like they may have their own shame and their own emotions
their own
that
relationship
come up
to
and,
it. Yeah,
like
gotta make
feeling
space for that too.
insecure because they thought that they were a 10 out of 10 in bed, pleasuring you, and like you're now coming being like, I haven't had an orgasm in years. That's hard.
That's hard to
It's
hear.
hard to take.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
give your partner grace when you bring this conversation up too.
Yeah. That, I feel like that's so helpful. Like those tips were so practical, and thank you for even like sharing specific language, because I think that's what we need.
Everybody needs a script.
Everyone needs a script.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I blank when I'm looking at like a blank page. But I really want to leave my community with hope from this conversation. And I know that you've worked with hundreds of women to really revive and re-explore, really recreate the relationship to this. And I don't know if there's any like one specific story that you could share of like where one of your clients started and where they are today.
So many.
Yeah, I'm sure
So
there's so
many.
many, but I just want women to know that like there is hope and this is worth fighting for. And sometimes we just need to hear success in someone else's story.
Totally. Totally. I'll give you two.
Okay, let's hear it.
Two that come to mind right away.
Okay.
One is this woman, Caitlin. You can find her testimonial if you go on my YouTube page. It's on there. When she started the program, she works in the medical industry. So works a lot.
All the time, I'm
a
sure.
mom of two kids.
Okay.
She came into the program saying, I think I might be asexual. I don't know. I cringe when my husband touches me. I have zero interest in sex. I have never in my entire life enjoyed sex. And I don't think this is even really possible for me, but I'll try. By the end of the program, she was like, I'm initiating sex in my luteal phase. She literally said that. She literally said that. And
in luteal phase is extra impressive.
It's so crazy. But she was just like, I cannot believe that I want to have sex with my husband. I'm enjoying sex with my husband. I know how to speak up for what I like. I know what I want now. And it just was like watching her feel so alive. I think if you watch the video, you can just see she's like beaming. She's a different person than the beginning. And it's because she decided like, I'm going to figure this out for myself. I'm going to figure out what I like. I'm going to imagine that like, I'm going to put all my preconceived notions at the door, say, you know what, this idea that I might be asexual isn't serving me, and I'm going to try. And just, yeah, she just was blossomed completely. The other story that I want to share is for people who maybe have experienced some level of sexual trauma. This was a woman I talked with last week. I did an interview with her, and she shared that she had a defining moment in her early teens where she experienced a sexually traumatic event. And now she was in a long relationship, I think 8 years or so, with her partner. And for the entire relationship, they had been disconnected sexually. Her partner was very sexual. She was not. And she felt like something was wrong with her pretty much the entire time. She had gotten to a place where she was like, I also think that I might be asexual. I don't know what's wrong with me here. I think that there is something wrong with me, whatever. And ultimately, she realized through our work together that she'd been completely defining herself as a sexual person by that traumatic event. She had let that experience
define
define
her relationship too.
Exactly. And let it hang like this cloud over her, over this experience, and then projected that onto her partners and onto what sex was and what it meant and what it was for. And yeah, I do a lot of somatic work in our programs, and so it's a lot of nervous system reprogramming, a lot of self-connection to the body in a really safe way, reintroducing safe, positive experiences with sex. And so, yeah, by the end of our time together, she was like, I feel free. For the first time in my life, like, I feel like I'm not defined by that experience anymore. And I feel like I can lean into my partner when he wraps his arms around me. I feel like I'm not tense or walking on eggshells anymore. We're having fun sex. I'm experimenting with toys for the first time. It's so fun. So yeah, like, it's no matter where you think you are. If you think your relationship is dead, if you think you're too traumatized, if you think you're too complicated, you're not. You're not. I have hundreds of stories like that.
Those are two like clear breakthroughs. I feel like there's so many walls that you can't even sometimes define, and you don't know the solution for getting to the other side. So I am so inspired to hear that. And I deeply believe that having an active, safe, and enriching sexual relationship is absolutely health promoting. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on is that I have a goal to introduce my community to voices of women that are creating a very powerful woman. I think a powerful woman has to have security with herself, and she has to be well nourished. She has to be well rested. She needs to be able to receive help and receive support, and also be able to allow herself to experience joy and pleasure and the beautiful things about life. And I know that this is just a really prominent challenge for so many women. So I'm so grateful for the work that you do. And if there's a woman that wants to understand how she could work with you more deeply or just explore your work more, how could she do that?
It's the Libido Fairy on everything.
Okay.
So
okay. Consistent.
find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I've got a podcast, libidofairy.com. It's everything is the Libido Fairy.
Amazing. Okay. Nice and simple. Amazing. Well, I can literally feel your passion for this work, and it is something that I'm so excited for so many more women to experience and to know that there's a resource here. So thank you for being willing to share like so openly what your true experience has been, and to be an inspiration for women to know that there's light, there's hope, and it's worth it.
Oh my God, it's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
It's so worth it.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for coming on. It's been a pleasure getting to know more about you and your work, and to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.